Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Scott Selections here on Friday, May 10th. We did not have a play of the day yesterday, but we did have our first tennis play in the tennis selection show, which ended up winning. Match is not officially over yet, but we ended up taking Tsitsipas and Zverev over 2.5 sets, which ended up cashing at a plus 135 price. In terms of the actual play of the day, though, I have been looking at the card, and since there are no hockey games, there's only one basketball game, and the rest is baseball. We're not going to do a play of the day today, but I will give out my leans as usual. Sorry if you were looking forward to another play of the day, but the card itself is not. There's really not many sports going on right now. You have one basketball game. It's a very intense basketball game, and I'll get into that in a second. But overall, the baseball card, I was thinking about giving out Angels -1.5, but I don't like the value at -114, give or take. And overall, the games themselves, not really the biggest fan of. I also like the over in the Red Sox game. But in terms of, do I like any of these enough for a play of the day? Nah. And since we also haven't been doing that well lately with the play of the day, and I'm willing to admit that, then I feel like it'd be a lot better to be a little bit more selective instead of just forcing plays for the sake of forcing them. But if any of you have any questions, as usual, in the comment section about any games you want me to cover, I'm going to cover all of them, but any individual questions I will gladly answer. In terms of that, tomorrow's schedule will be interesting because it's my graduation tomorrow. So we will try to work out when we'll make a video. I'll probably make the video for Saturday sometime tonight because of the fact that I'll be completely busy with graduation and stuff tomorrow, hanging out with my parents. So hopefully that all works out. And with that being said, it's time to dive right in to the biggest game, probably the NBA season, in my opinion, which is between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets, as it is game 6 of the series, with Golden State being up 3-2, and the series is in Houston. Or this game, I should say, is in Houston. Now, this game, as everybody knows, has an interesting caveat, which is the fact that Kevin Durant has suffered a calf strain, and he's officially been ruled out by Coach Kerr for the rest of the series and potentially longer. The series is given. You don't know if he's going to be back. Yeah, thanks, Terry. Thanks for joining us. If only you had the over 2.5 set prop, because that paid off at a better plus. But if you did not have the 1.5, if you did not have the 3-set prop and you only had the total, and I told you to bet it over, I hope you enjoyed cashing that one pretty nicely. Other than that, back to the basketball here. One thing that I have noticed, Houston was favored by 7.5 down to 7, pretty much market wide. Surprisingly, though, with Durant out, the total has been bet up in this game from 211.5 to 214.5. So the total's gone up 3 full points with Durant out. Am I surprised by that? At first glance, you might be surprised by that, and then you realize that Durant is also a 7-foot-tall potential rim protector. Yeah, Hank, I'll get into the baseball games in a second. I'm just going to start out with basketball and work my way down the line here based on rotation number. But so for the game itself, it was at 211.5. It was at 214.5. I have to lean to the over here. With Durant out, you assume this game might go a little bit under. But the fact that the total's been bet up a solid 3 full points with Durant not playing makes me believe this game's going to turn into a track meet. And I think this game will go over the 214.5 here. That's a lot of line movement, considering the fact that a star player and a top 3 player in the league is out and not going to be playing. And the fact that money's coming on the over, I find surprising. And I think that's personally sharp money. So I would lean to the over in that one. And for the spread, it's really a tough one. I think Houston's going to win. Do I like the 7? No. Because even with Durant out, I still trust Curry and Thompson to play well. Thompson finally got it going in Game 5 as he helped carry his team to a victory. And Curry, he's had issues with the three-point shot percentage-wise, but he did look pretty solid last game, so hopefully he'll be able to get it together. But both of them are going to need to step up if the team's going to want to end the series tonight and to avoid a Game 7. Realistically, the only way that I would lean this is I would parlay the Houston money line with the over 214.5 for some extra value if your book allows you to do that. I don't like the 7. I think 7's too many points, but I also am a little bit concerned about the potential of Golden State getting blown out without Durant. And I also like the over because there's been a lot of money to the over, which I think is a little bit questionable, which makes me believe that the over is the right side and the strongest play in this game. So I would personally lean to Houston money line, and I would also lean to the 214.5 over. Now I will move on to baseball since there is no hockey today. We will go through the card. As of right now, Brewers are up 1-0 in the 6th. Props to Gio Gonzalez for so far pitching a gem as he goes up against Quintana. Brewers continue to roll. Something to keep in mind. Cubs have been favored, but the Brewers have absolutely dominated in the last week or so. They've been playing some weaker competition. They were able to beat up on the Mets and the Nationals in the NL East, and the Cubs have also been surging as of late. But Milwaukee's one of those teams that are finally getting it going. Now, with Yelich back in the lineup, I would probably expect you to continue betting Milwaukee in the near future, especially when the Cubs are going to be overpriced because of the fact that the public absolutely loves them, along with the Yankees and the Red Sox and all the popular teams. So keep that in mind moving forward. The Brewers should be a nice sleeper moving forward. You also have the Angels and the Orioles game. Angels start out at minus 150 up to minus 180. As I said before, I was thinking about giving out Angels minus 1.5 as play of the day. You have Straley versus Cahill. Both pitchers absolutely stink, except Cahill has actually had good numbers against the Orioles, where Straley has gotten absolutely shelled. Not to mention the fact, it is important to note that Pujols is not playing. He did just hit his 2,000th RBI on a home run, but you also have to wonder if that's a good thing that he's not playing because of the fact that he's probably the slowest base runner in all of baseball. So if he hits it on the ground, it's pretty much a guaranteed double play. But the Angels have gotten Ohtani back, which is very important. He will be playing today. So for Trout, even if you like player props with Trout, he finally has more support in the lineup. As you have Listella, who's been solid, you have Trout, you have Ohtani, and Simmons is batting in the fourth today. I think the Angels will score a lot of runs. Total's at 11. That's a very high total, but both pitchers stink. But the Orioles lead the league in runs allowed in all of baseball. And I think after the Angels won 13-0 yesterday, they are going to take it to the Orioles. And I think the Angels should win this game relatively comfortably. So I would lean to the Angels minus 1.5, and I would lean to the over 11, or if that's a little bit too high for you, potentially the team total over, and we'll see how that goes. Other than that, you have the White Sox and Toronto. You have Covey versus Hudson. In terms of this game, I would personally lean to the White Sox here. Do I really like the play? No. But at the same point, Toronto's not a good enough team to be laying minus 135 at home. I know Hudson as a whole hasn't been – actually, I've seen conflicting reports on whether it's going to be Hudson or Buchholz. Either or, Toronto shouldn't be laying roughly minus 135 in this spot. Covey's not bad. He's a relative youngster, and I think he's 27. He hasn't had much of experience in his career. Started roughly 34 games. Overall, though, he has been okay this season. Do I think he's a great pitcher? No. But do I think Toronto should be a minus 135 favorite at home? No. I think there's value on the White Sox there, and I would lean to the over 9 as well. Moving on, you have the Yankees versus the Rays. Total's been bet down from 7.5 to 7, and Tampa Bay is currently a minus 160 favorite, give or take, after originally opening up at a minus 140. In terms of this game, I'd have to lean to the Rays. Germán's been great, but Glasnow has been even better, as he has completely just proven that he's the prospect that people thought he was going to be. I thought he was a bust, and we bet against him earlier this year and lost, but he's definitely kept it together, and he's probably one of the front runners to win the AL Cy Young right now. Will he win the Cy Young? Probably not. I expect him to fall apart at some point. But in terms of this game, I'll actually lean to the Yankees here because I don't think Tampa should be a minus 160 favorite. I know that the Yankees are still dealing with a ton of injuries, and I know that Tampa's a great team, and Glasnow has been great, but Germán's also been great, and minus 160 is a pretty high price. I would personally lean to the Yankees because I think that they are a live dog to win this game, and I think that the price warrants a wager on it. So I think the Yankees will win, not necessarily, but I do think that the Rays should be in the minus 140 range instead of the minus 160. Moving on, you have Seattle versus Boston. Total's been bet up from 9.5 to 10. As I said before, that I was thinking about giving out the over 10 as my play of the day. So I like the over there, and I would also lean to the Red Sox. I know they're roughly minus 190, but Seattle has definitely fallen off since their hot start. Swanson's not great. We cashed an over bet with him pitching in his last start, and he gave up a ton of runs to Texas. And Boston, Rodriguez has been okay as of late, but he still has the potential to give up a ton of home runs, and Seattle scores a lot of runs. And Seattle, interesting piece of trivia, is actually the number one team in baseball when it comes to overs. So in terms of percentage of games, the Mariners have the highest percentage of games go to the over, so I would lean to the over 10 in that one. Moving on, you have the Marlins versus the Mets. Mets are currently at minus 180, give or take, after opening up minus 170, and the total is at 7 steadily. In this game, I would lean to the over here. Miami hasn't been good all year, but their offense was actually okay against the Cubs. It was awful. I've definitely seen worse performances from them. And the Mets, they just played the Padres. Yeah, they lost most of the games, but their offense actually did come alive late in that series as they ended up scoring 7 runs in the last game. So I would lean to the over. Do I trust 7? I think 7's too low. Wheeler has the potential to get hit. Lopez is pretty good, but the Mets actually have some decent hitters. with Peter Alonso, who's been absolutely fantastic, and he's probably in line to win NL Rookie of the Year. Guy's a stud, and I think that the Mets bullpen also stinks. Miami's bullpen's not great either. I would lean to the over 7 in that spot. Moving on, you have Detroit versus Minnesota. Odorizzi is currently going from minus 210 to minus 220 in most spots, and the total has stayed at 9. In terms of this game, the only way that I can lean here is Tigers plus 1.5. I just don't think Odorizzi is a good enough pitcher to be laying minus 230. Not to mention the fact that since you are the home team, you're only going to bat 8 times, which is something to keep in mind. And Hank, that's also something, that's one of the games that you addressed. If you end up taking the run line on a home team, you lose an at bat because of the fact that if your team is up, basically, in other words, you only bat 8 times. Because if your team is up 2 runs in the 9th, you don't bat the 9th. If your team's up 1 run in the 9th, you don't bat the 9th. And if you're tied, then a single only gives in 1 run instead of a potential 2, and you call the game after winning by 1 run. So personally, try to stay away from home team run lines for full game. Other than that, well, Hank, just to address, the Cubs game actually already started, and they're currently down 1-0. So, but overall, just a general rule, Hank, try to stay away from full game run lines as you end up losing value because you lose a potential at bat in the 9th inning. However, if you do like the Twins in this game, I would recommend taking the first half run line. So the rule of thumb for me, take the full game for away teams minus 1.5 or whatever, because you get a full 9 at bats guaranteed. Or if you like the home team covering a run line, take the first 5 because both teams will still have 5 at bats. So just keep that in mind moving forward, Hank. But in terms of this game, I would lean to Detroit. Minnesota should win this game, but Odorizzi is not worthy of being that big of a favorite. He's been okay at times. Ross is kind of volatile, but he has decent stuff, and Detroit still has a decent lineup. Yeah, Hank, hopefully you understood what I was trying to say. If you want to clarify on something, I can go into it. But that's generally my rule of thumb when it comes to betting baseball with run lines. But overall, I would lean to the Tigers plus 1.5. Tigers could get smacked, but I definitely think the Twins should be in the minus 190 range, minus 180. I think 230 is kind of ridiculous. But that's just my thoughts. Moving on, you have Houston versus Texas. Houston is currently on minus 260 or minus 270, somewhere in that realm after opening minus 260. And the total is at 8.5. You have Verlander versus Lynn. Houston won a thriller of a game yesterday with a potential go-ahead 3-run home run by Texas in the 9th inning, being robbed in the outfield. Great catch. And overall, Houston's just a better team. Verlander's great. Lynn was pretty solid. Well, he was great in his last start against the Mariners. We ended up cashing the over on that anyway. But overall, I'd have to lean to the Astros first 5 minus a half here. Is it going to be a steep price? Yes, but you get Verlander, and you also get Houston's offense at home. And Texas, no offense to Lynn, but his well past his prime, which was on the Cardinals, I'd say, about 10 years ago. So overall, I would lean to the Astros there. After that, you have the Phillies versus the Royals with Arrieta versus Homer Bailey. Phillies currently a minus 140 favorite, and the total's at 9. I don't understand this at all. It's Homer Bailey Day. How's it going, Michael? Thanks for joining us. It's Homer Bailey Day, and you already know what that means. Bet against them. I would take Philly here, especially on the road. Look to Philly minus 1.5 here. Arrieta's been really solid this season after a questionable beginning, and Bailey just stinks. I know Harper has been underwhelming, to say the least, for Philly, but they still have Real Muto. They still have a solid team, and as a road team, I think there's a lot of value here with Philly minus 1.5 against Homer Bailey, so I would lean there, especially with Kansas City having a bottom 5 bullpen in all of baseball. Moving on, you have the Pirates and the Cardinals. Cardinals demolished the Pirates yesterday by scoring 17 runs. I don't like Wainwright. I actually like Trevor Williams. In terms of this game, money's come in on the Cardinals after yesterday's impressive showing, gone from minus 140 to roughly minus 158, and the total has stayed at 8.5. I lean to the under here. I think Wainwright will pitch pretty well, and I actually like Trevor Williams. Plus, the Cardinals scored 17 runs yesterday. I don't really believe in law of averages, but I do think something will balance out. I definitely think the Cardinals will score roughly 4 or 5 runs in this game, and I think Williams will actually do a pretty good job. I would lean to the first 5 under, and I would lean to the full game under in that spot. Moving on, you have the Padres and the Rockies with Marquez versus Lauer. Total is at 10. Rockies have been bet up from minus 150 to minus 166, give or take. Lean to the Rockies here. I actually really like Marquez, the pitcher. I think he's got great stuff, and I think his numbers would be a lot better if he was not pitching in Coors Field. But he didn't got a no decision in his last start against the Diamondbacks. I had money on the Diamondbacks in that game, and they blew a 4-run lead in the eighth inning and gave up 5 runs and ended up losing. Yep, that's pretty much what's been going on for the last week in terms of my personal plays. But overall, the Padres had a good run against the Mets. I don't really like Lauer in the spot here. The Rockies lineup has been great. They almost blew a huge lead against the Giants yesterday in the snow in a game that totaled over 20 runs. But I do like the Rockies here with Marquez, and I would lean to the Rockies team total over, and I would lean to the Rockies winning this game outright. Moving on, you have the Indians versus the Oakland A's with Anderson versus Montez. In this game, I would lean to Cleveland. Oakland is currently a minus 160 favorite after being bet up to minus 153. And Cleveland, and the total's at 8.5. Cleveland has been a little bit underwhelming this year, especially with the way that the Twins have dominated in the AL Central so far. I know that Oakland's coming in off of a good series against the Reds. It's the Reds. I know that their offense I thought would do well a couple of days ago. We ended up losing the over 8.5 because Fiers threw a no-hitter. But overall, the Reds are one of the worst teams in baseball, and the Indians have still been pretty solid. I simply just think Oakland shouldn't be a minus 150-something favorite here. Yeah, Michael, sorry I missed out on some of the plays. If you follow me on Twitter, I have posted them on Twitter, and I even had a tennis video yesterday in a separate video on the channel, so look for that in the future. Sorry that you missed out on the bet. So far, I believe we've only lost one time. I got to look through the records, but I'm pretty sure we're like 5-1 or 6-1 in tennis, and we picked up another nice winner today, a plus 135 in the Tsitsipas and Zverev match. But for tomorrow, we might have a tennis. We might have a tennis video later. We might not. Tsitsipas match ended, but the Nadal-Wawrinka match has been delayed. And we're gonna have to wait to see how that match turns out to see what the actual matchups are going to be. I personally think Nadal's going to win. Either or. You have the next game. You have Tehran versus Greinke. Totals was at 8, bet up to 8.5, and money's coming on at Atlanta. Arizona was at minus 150 down to minus 140. I lean to the Braves here. I think that Tehran is a volatile pitcher, but he has great stuff. Greinke was pretty good in his last start, not great, but I think that the Braves are the better lineup, and I will take the Braves there. I don't think Arizona should be a minus 140 favorite. I think they should be somewhere in the realm of minus 120, minus 125. So I think that there's value on the Braves there. Moving on, you have the Dodgers and the Nationals. Nationals won yesterday after an impressive first inning, and Corbin shut down the Dodgers. Maeda is against Sanchez. I lean to the over here. Sanchez is not the pitcher he once was. Throws a lot of off-speed curveballs is what it is. Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate that. Hopefully the ending of my college career leads to brighter stuff in the future, including a more focused attempt and a long career at Stasalt and the Winners and Winers family, hopefully, as I look to make more videos in the future for the next couple of months minimum. So hopefully that all works out. But in this game, I would lean to the Dodgers. I know they're minus 200. I would lean to them, though, because I don't really like Sanchez at all. And I would lean to the over 8 because I think that Maeda and Sanchez are in line to get potentially shelled, and the Nationals still have the worst bullpen in baseball statistically. So I would lean to the Nationals there. And moving on, you have the last game, which is between the Reds and the Giants. Reds are favored at minus 140 up to minus 145, and the total stayed at 7. These teams just played each other, and they split a 4-game series. I'm going to have to lean to the Giants here. The Reds can't hit, and I simply just don't trust them as a minus 140-plus favorite here. And I actually like Rodriguez as a pitcher. He got shelled against the Yankees a couple starts ago. He's still a very solid pitcher. So thanks a lot, Hank. I appreciate that. But we shall see on what is in store in the future. And other than that, I would lean to the Giants, and I would lean to the over. I know it's the games in San Francisco, but these teams just played each other, and every game in that series went over. So I would lean to the over 7, and I would lean to the Giants in that game. But that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections. As for the tennis play, we might have a tennis play later. We might not. It really depends on the Nadal-Wawrinka match and how that goes. Because of right now, you know for a fact that Djokovic, who did not play because Cilic ended up getting food poisoning and had to withdraw. So Djokovic will be playing team tomorrow in a fantastic match. And Tsitsipas ended up winning in 3 sets, with what I thought would happen because he was in better form. But he will be playing the winner of the Wawrinka and Nadal match, so we will not do a tennis video yet until we see how that last match turns out. But other than that, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections. We should have another video for the plays of the day tomorrow, sometime tonight, because I will be having my graduation. Yeah, Tsitsipas is a tremendous player. I got to see him live at the U.S. Open. He ended up losing to Medvedev in that match, but I did see him live, and he is a tremendous player in person as well as just on television. But overall, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections, and good luck to all of you and your respective bets.